All right. So this is Nutrition 101. This is getting back to the basics. And, the thing with the basics is that really this is the most important thing as far as getting changes. So you watch anybody that is world class at what they do, whether it's an athlete or a business person, and they repeatedly practice and go back to the basics, because this is going to be 80 to 90% of what is important for success, and the last 10 to 20% is all fine tuning, but none of that specialty stuff matters without having the basics and the foundation blocks put in place for that. So, one of the things before we really get into the nuts and bolts here, it's important is to get in the right mindset as far as changes. So, for most Americans, and, really even those of you that are following me and have been following me for a long time, the concern is that you still likely have some really destructive behaviors going on related to your health that are absolutely feeding and building cancer, heart disease, arthritis, and other chronic degenerative diseases inside of your body. So what's super important is to start identifying those things one by one and just laying out a plan and absolutely just freaking, attacking it and going after it. So when we talk about, how we are as a society, we've been really trained by the pharmaceutical companies, our medical system, to be extremely crisis motivated or crisis reactive, meaning that we typically don't make important changes until we get the diagnosis, until we get the bad blood work, until, our clothes don't fit or a certain number hits the scale, that we're blaming all of our problems on our history or our genes to go, I got this disease, this cancer because of my genetics. It's a bunch of crap. Wait until you feel well. Like, I just posted a immune system, like how to get over the flu and get over sickness lightning fast. And really by the time you need that, it's too late because you're already sick, right? So it's important to be practicing immunopreventative strategies, not immunoreactive, even though obviously I'd rather have you do that protocol than be taking medications or visiting your doctor. So, oftentimes surgery is like, okay, now I'm going to get my life straight, get my health together. Or, once you get to a point where you're paying for disease, crisis management. So quality of life motivation is what we want the shift to be to, and, setting goals and vision for those. So, setting things like being able to play with your grandkids, you feeling great with your quality of life, living life on your own terms, being medication free, being able to serve and volunteer for your church or other organizations that you are passionate about, investing in your health and really just keeping all of your God-given body parts. It's crazy how expendable certain organs in our body has become. Like, I can't tell you how many people I meet gallbladders now, and like, you need your freaking gallbladder, or like your appendix, or one kidney, or certain parts of your colon. Like, God put all of that in there for a reason. So it's important to be, keeping those body parts. You need them to be, healthy and well. If you're watching this on Facebook, just make sure that everybody knows that I pinned at the top is the link to be able to see my slides. So you're just going to see my face here, which is kind of boring compared to being able to see my slides. So you could, if you want to see both, I don't know if you're weird like that. You can still click on it and still watch me on Facebook, whatever you want to do. But you can also like and share, which would be great, this post as we're watching right now. So here's to put some things into perspective here when we talk about money and your health, and really why getting your nutrition right is so important for things like this. So if you see that this is stats based on about 3 years ago. So I guarantee you it's higher, because not only due to inflation, but because medical costs have gone up since then. But if you're 65 years old right now, or you're getting close to a retirement age, you and your husband, or you and your wife, okay, so a couple, are going to need around $160,000 in liquid savings, okay, $160,000, just to have a 50% chance of being able to have enough money to pay for all of your medical expenses throughout your retirement after and that would be stuff that's not covered by Medicare. So if you're over 65, you have Medicare or some, Medicare and a secondary Medicare replacement, you're still going to need $160,000 of liquid money to be able to pay for your medical bills as you age and before you die, just to have a 50% chance of covering those expenses. If you want to have a 90% chance of being able to cover your medical expenditures, meaning you're not going to die bankrupt or be able to leave some money to your family, you're going to need over $250,000 in liquid savings, okay, or liquid money to be able to pay for those. So if you don't got $250,000 sitting around in savings, the chances are you are going to die bankrupt unless you are doing things that nobody else is doing and taking care of yourself in such a way that you won't need to be paying that, because you're preventing all these other conditions and diseases and medical bills and problems that other people are facing. It should be a fraction of that. In fact, long-term chiropractic care studies, people that are under care for 10 plus years, this was a study that was done of over like 30,000 people, 30,000 seniors, people over 65, found they paid 80 to 90% less medical bills. So what's your solution? I mean, just right there, being under long-term chiropractic care, that number, 271,000, based on statistics, will go down to $27,000. That's a lot more manageable and a lot more realistic, right? And that's just going to a chiropractor once a month, right? Or going when you have pain. If you're doing it from a wellness perspective, I would expect that number would be go down by 99% or more. And you can see for couples in their 50s right now, you're going to need to have $400,000 in savings. Okay, so by 2030, so in the next 13 years, you're going to need to have almost $500,000 in savings to be able to have that, because that's how much those medical costs are going up right now, which is just stupidly high. Okay, so put this into perspective again. So if you don't take care of yourself, you'll end up in a nursing home. 1 year in a nursing home costs $78,000 per year on average in North Carolina, which is about $214 per day. And, to put that into perspective, there's a cruise that you can sail around the entire world for literally over 300 days, and that only costs $63,000. So you could, I don't know, what's a better usage of your money? You tell me. Number one cause of bankruptcy in our country right now, all right, is medical bills. So you can see the average American spends $6,700 per year on health, all right? And that's really not on health. That's actually more on medical bills and disease, okay? So 2 million people per year go bankrupt because they can't pay their medical bills. 56 million people will struggle to pay their medical bills. So they aren't going to go bankrupt, but it's going to put a ridiculous amount of financial stress on them. Some of you watching this right now might have been in situations in the past or currently that can relate to that. So the majority of people are going to be middle-aged, so between 35 and 54. 11 million people are going to take on new credit card debt, all right, because of their medical bills. So they didn't go bankrupt, but they have to put a bunch of stuff on credit cards from that. 15 million people are going to wipe out their savings or dramatically deplete it. 10 million people won't be able to pay for basic needs like rent, mortgages, food, utility bills because of their medical bills. And 70% of people that go bankrupt have insurance. So we think, oh, I have insurance, it's not going to happen to me. Well, 70% of the medical bankruptcies are from people that have insurance, meaning they hit their maximum out of pocket, or they get enough procedures, or even one procedure that's not covered and that's it. Sometimes that's all it is right there. So a famous quote, this came out of Time magazine when they were looking at all this data. It said that unless you're Warren Buffett, your family is just one serious illness away from bankruptcy. It's just the truth. So when we look at shift into nutrition here, these are the most common mental barriers for people to not only be healthy, but definitely just around eating well. Okay. So number one would be conflicting information or misinformation. So meaning you have heard something from a different doctor, or you read something online, or whatever it is, or you read a book, you're hearing all these contrary advice. So somebody says eggs are good, somebody says eggs are bad. Somebody says dairy is good, somebody says dairy is bad. Somebody says coffee is good, somebody says coffee is bad. And that can lead to this mental roadblock of just not knowing what to do. Another one is that people start feeling deprived from their food favorites. So they're like, and I've heard this before from patients, in consultations, like they'll literally tell me like they're going to die if they can't eat bread. And I'm like, well, you're not going to die. Like, no, I'm going to die. Like, well, no, you're not going to die. But it's this whole like deprivation mentality that like you'd rather die. Well, you know what? My grandfather, I remember hearing this come out of his mouth at one point, and you know what? His lifestyle behaviors ultimately led to his untimely death. So unsustainable dieting. So we see things like Atkins, South Beach, calorie counting, carb counting, even things like ketogenic, all this stuff. And all they are is they're just super strict, forcing your body into either a starvation mode or a very restricted template, and it's just not sustainable because you're either miserable mentally or you're miserable physically, and that does not lead to long-term success or really even health. So failing in the past, so you tried maybe this last year and it didn't go so well, so you're thinking, why, well, if you're on here, you're hopefully looking for something different this year, but you're running into a problem of like, okay, like this didn't work for me before, so you're a little bit gun shy, a little bit hesitant. It's too hard. So, I get all the changes that I need to be making, but they're just too hard to do that. And then another one, and, maybe one of the big ones or top ones is budgeting concerns, saying, I can't afford to eat X, Y, or Z. Well, really, we just crush that because the reality is you can't afford not to. I mean, it's literally the biggest one. I'd say one of the biggest, if not the biggest lies, is that when you can't afford to be healthy, because the reality is you 100% can't afford to be sick. You can't. And so every dollar that you put into your health is an investment. All right. It is not an expense. It is not something that has to fit into your budget. You should start your budget with your health if it truly is your number one priority, and build everything else around it. I can't tell you how many people who have told me they can't afford my services, or they can't afford to do X, Y, or Z, which is, buying a certain supplement that they need or changing their nutrition, whatever it is. And I know they have $150 a month cell phone in their pocket, and they probably have $100 a month cable or direct TV bill. And you know what? Maybe they get their nails done once a month, and that's what, 30 to 50 to 60 bucks, depending on if you do mani and pedi, right? And there's just so much crap they're wasting their money on that if they invested it into their health, they would not only feel better about themselves, but they would actually be living longer. So before you sit here and say, I can't afford to eat this way, you should really actually look at all the stuff that you have in your house or in your other monthly expenditures and figure out which one of these things are more important than my health. And my guess is probably none of them are, or very few. I mean, I get that, a roof over your head and whatever it is, right? You got to be able to drive to work, things like that. I get that. But they're not, doesn't mean they're more important, but it really should be right up there as far as your priorities of figuring out what you should be budgeting from. Maybe you can't afford that $1,500 or $2,000 vacation this year, and you should put that money into your health, right? Maybe you should get a part-time job to be able to pay for your health expenditures, or the things that you should be doing so you can live a long, healthy life and even enjoy your retirement in the first place. I don't know. It's just some ideas for me. My health is my number one priority, along with my family, and really my family's health is my number one priority. So, I mean, this just never comes up. We do what it takes. Okay. So we got to reprogram your software and reprogram the way that you're thinking about your health first. Because if we can't fix this right here, there's no way I'm going to be able to fix, what goes in your mouth. There's no way. I mean, short of me moving in with you and just literally physically kicking your butt every single morning and every single meal, right? Which, sorry, that's not going to happen. But even if I did do that, even if you're like, hey, here's a $250,000 check for you to move in with me this year, you can move your whole family in. Might not be enough money anyways, right? But the minute I move out, if you haven't changed what's going on in here, you are going to go slowly slip back, or maybe even quickly slip back right into the old habits that got you sick, fat, out of shape, and feeling like crap in the first place. Why? Because you didn't fix this right here. So one of the things that we have coming up for you all this year is to get this year started off right. This is step number one, but step number two is to get this right. And I'm not just talking your mindset, but it's also getting your brain right. Some of you are so dang neurotoxic and just so much damage going on in your brain from poor eating habits and lifestyle habits that your minds are like physically incapable of retaining information, learning new information, and implementing new habits. So, we have a free seminar coming up on Saturday, the 27th. All right. And I just posted a link here and in the comment section if you're on the webinar to register for that for free. And the space that we got is only going to be able to fit 70 people. So, it is first come, first serve for that. It's going to be an amazing seminar that focuses on getting your mindset wrapped around living a healthy lifestyle this year and hopefully for the rest of your life, okay? Because it's not just about having a healthy 2018. We should be creating up and setting up generational health for you and your families. That's it. So if you just click on it, it'll take you to the free registration. You'll put your email and your name in. You'll get a little e-ticket for that. It's going to be at the Summit Church here in Raleigh in their smaller rooms. That's why it's limited seating. It's not the big sanctuary. It's only going to fit about 70 people. And you know what? This is probably going to be one of the best seminars that I do, because if I get your head right, you're honestly, strategy and action steps are just going to naturally come to you, and you're going to figure it out how to be healthy. You don't even need me for the rest of the year, really, if you come to the seminar and actually implement the stuff that I'm going to go over. So it's going to be an hour and a half. It's going to be just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, good stuff from that. So you can register for that as we're going along here. It's a free seminar. Another cool thing is you'll see, this is just a quick sneak peek before I get into the meat and potatoes here. Well, not the potatoes, sweet potatoes a little bit, but definitely the grass-fed organic meat here. This is a little bit of a preview of the new branding that we have rolling out to Maximize Living this year in Q1. You can see that we have the new logos for the 5 essentials here. This is amazing. I love it. So you'll see some office paint colored shifts that go along with this, an entire repackaging of the supplements, which are just going to be so slick and just really appeasing to the eye, along with maintaining the same high level of quality. But you can see our 5 essentials here have been rebranded. Instead of Maximize Living now, it's going to be called Max Living. I like it. It's a little bit cleaner and smoother. So, of course, Core Chiropractic. And, because it all revolves around that, because you have to have a proper functioning nervous system for your body to work properly. Then it's nutrition, mindset, oxygen and exercise, and then minimizing toxins. So just some slight kind of changes of the names there for those that have been around for a while, and you kind of recognize, the basis of that. But this is the new branding, and you can see the new logo up here in this little section. So you'll see some cool stuff happening with that here as Q1 rolls out this year. All right, so let's get into the changes for what you need to be doing for your nutrition. These are going to be super fast. We're going to hopefully get this done in about 30 minutes, and we'll leave some time for questions. So number one, we got to cut the carbs, okay? And when we talk about carbs, we're really talking about sugar, and recognizing that we eat this stuff at an unprecedented level here in 2017, now 2018. So the average American last year or this year, and I think this will probably even go up, eats 156 pounds equivalent of sugar plus another 63 pounds of high fructose corn syrup. Even just a couple of generations ago, this number, even just in a sort of as far as like a natural diet, was about 1/10 of what that is. So we're consuming roughly about 10 times the amount of sugars we did a couple of generations ago. And a couple of generations ago, there was no such thing as high fructose corn syrup. So that's skyrocketed. It's gone from really 0 to 63 pounds. And the body does not know how to process that, does not know how to filter that. It just runs rampant through there. It just causes all kinds of chronic, degenerative, and even immediate acute issues too. So remember too, when we're talking about carbohydrates, talking about sugar, we're talking about all the different forms of that. So we have, honey, which is sugar, lactose, which is milk sugar, xanthan gum, cane juice, maltodextrin comes from corn, fructose comes from fruit, maple sugar, cornmeal, maple syrup, glucose, which is the standard form of sugar, sucrose, which is going to be table sugar, cornstarch, dextrose, corn. Anything come from corn is going to be sugar in the body, right? So all of these things are just destroying us, and we're eating way too much of it. And if you, oops, if you are, if you've fallen into the trap that, hold on one second. Did I lose a screen, or is the screen still there? Can somebody just post in the chat? That a little bit of natural sugar or a little bit of moderation is good for you, that is absolutely false, okay? I'm not saying you can't ever have it, or that you're going to die if you have a little bit of honey now and then, but to say that that's good for you, false, okay? There's just no science to back that up at all. So remember, it's not just cake, cookies, donuts, candy bars, suckers, candy canes, lattes, things like that. It's where these sugars are hiding, okay? And they're hiding in the foods that you are eating every single day and what you're mostly eating every single day. So we have things like pasta, crackers, your juices, especially for your kids, right? In your lunch meats, your canned foods, and condiments galore, tons of sugar in condiments, like ketchup, barbecue sauce, mayonnaise, pizza crusts, bagels, muffins, salad dressings, okay? In your yogurts, your soups, oatmeal converts to sugar within a few minutes, all rice, all potatoes, and most fruits. Now, really, it's all fruits have sugar in there, but it's most fruits are going to be problematic. So fruits, kind of got equated with vegetables as far as being equally healthy, but not true. So remember, bread is a huge one here, probably one of the most prevalent for most people if you're still struggling with this. And you really have to ask yourself, where the heck is your bread addiction coming from? Why is it that you can't live without bread? To think that this stupid thing that sits on your shelf that would mold within a couple weeks, right? That's in a plastic bag, has that much power over you. You should be terrified if you're that addicted to this lifeless, squishy little harmless thing that sits on your shelf. It's crazy. That's just think about that for a second, that if that has that much power over you that you feel like you can't live without bread, you got a problem going on here more than anything else. I mean, thank God, I guess it's not cocaine or something else maybe, right? But it's seriously, bread has that much power over you. Come on. And grains specifically found in bread, right? These things just tear up your body. They tear up your gut. They cause leaky gut. And when we get leaky gut, then we get all sorts of autoimmune issues. We get skin issues. We get thyroid issues. Causes brain issues like depression, anxiety, ADHD. Starts inflaming your sinuses, creating food sensitivities, getting joint issues. If you got joint issues, stop eating grains completely and watch how much better your joints feel. I guarantee it. They may not be fixed, but they'll feel better, guaranteed. You get adrenal fatigue, and then you get digestive issues, right? So these gut issues are coming from grains and other things too, but grains are for a lot of people a daily culprit for these issues. So one of the easiest ways to clean up, your carbohydrates, because most Americans are getting carbohydrates at breakfast and dinner, right? Because you eat oatmeal if you're trying to be healthy, right? Trying to be healthy, or you're eating cereal for sure, or you're eating toast, you're eating bagels, you're eating English muffins, you're eating, regular muffins, you're eating bagels, whatever it is. There's just a massive amount of carbs to start your day. Not good, right? If you're starting your day putting yourself in the worst possible metabolic state, you're setting yourself up for failure. And then dinner time, is the other worst time, because then you're doing a lot of the pasta, the rice, and, the white potatoes and things like that are turning into sugar. And then your body doesn't have a chance, right, to even burn that off before you go to bed. So it's just getting stored as fat all night long. So you fix your breakfast here. I'm a big fan of smoothie, also a big fan of eggs, right? Things like that. Things are going to have minimal to no sugar. So here's my smoothie recipe. here in the corner. This makes two, for two people. Now, really, my family, if I update this, since I'm serving 4 of us, we do 2 cups of berries. We're doing like whole can of organic coconut milk, full fat, 2 to 3 scoops of protein. And then, we're doing definitely a lot of greens. I mean, we've lately been doing, just for simplicity, doing the powdered or organic greens. So I'll do 2 scoops of that. That's like 25 servings of vegetables for breakfast for our family, divided by 4. But we're doing that. And then I put a little almond milk in there, a little bit of water, whatever it is, and blend that up in our Vitamix, and we're good to go. Perfect breakfast. And, the earlier you start smoothies and things like this with your kids, the better. I hear a lot from kids, like, they don't have the palate for smoothies. Well, like, I would say get over it. Like, you can either, if that's what you make for your kids, they can either eat that or choose not to. Like, that's step number 1. My kids won't eat that. Well, they got to eat something. So if you make what's prepared for them, and what if they want something else? Well, they can either cook it themselves, or they can go hungry. They'll eventually eat. So you got to break their addictions too, just like you have your addictions. So you got to break it. So key is to get protein first thing in the morning, which is why eggs are great for that. Or like I said, a protein smoothie here. And the reason why I like this is we're getting more nutrients instead of just protein and fat. But women should be aiming for about 15 to 20 grams worth of protein, men 20 to 25. You want to be doing this within an hour of when you wake up to get your metabolism rocking and rolling properly. But too much sugar is going to put your body in storage mode, and it's going to cause cortisol spikes, insulin spikes, which is going to set you up for, like I said, metabolic failure throughout the whole day. So big on protein powder, but it's got to be the right kind. Honestly, most protein powders on the market are crap. They're either going to be denatured, or they're going to be from dairy that is not grass-fed. It is not organic, which means it's going to be very toxic, or there's sugar in it, or there's artificial sweeteners in it. You know what? That's actually just going to make you sick. So, having organic grass-fed whey protein, very important for that if you're going to do that. We use the one from Max Living, of course. I also do some bone broth protein as well. And there's different benefits. Really, I try to do like actually a little bit of both. So I either just switch on and off from one or the other, or I'll mix the two together because they all have different kind of benefits going on with that. The grass-fed whey protein is what we currently be using. That's why I put this slide up here. So helps you detoxify your body, helps your insulin levels. The reason why it helps you detox is because there's lots of cysteine in there, in whey protein specifically, which helps you build glutathione, which helps you detoxify. Most of the studies that have been showing about weight loss and fat loss revolve around whey protein, all right? And that being a super big helpful for losing weight. Why? Because it controls your insulin levels, which helps keep glucose out of your bloodstream, which means less glucose in your bloodstream means less storage as fat. So start your day with protein. So as you move away from carbohydrates, you're going to move to more fat-based sources for fuel. And so, coconut oil, fatty fish, or just, cold water, wild-caught fish, like wild-caught salmon, other white fish, not tilapia, super toxic. Raw nuts, other coconut products like coconut milk, coconut butter, MCT oil, just regular, real, organic butter, eggs, the whole egg, including the yolk, organic, raw cheese, avocados like crazy, all right? Smoothies, like I said, putting the protein in there. Really, that shouldn't, if we take that off there, it's not really a fat source there, but I guess it goes along with it. So these are the sources of what should be making up the majority of your nutritional plan, okay? Yeah, our sources from fat and protein. So it's mostly fat, a little bit of moderate protein in there, and it's going to be very low carbohydrate because you need some, but you don't need a lot. So if you're wanting to be losing weight, we started a weight loss company, a weight loss program last summer. And, we've had multiple, dozens of people lose 15 to 20 pounds. In fact, I just found about 2 people this week that have both lost over 40 pounds in about 5 months. So, losing about 8 pounds a month from that, which is about 2 pounds a week, which is pretty incredible. So we do have a free informational seminar coming up next Monday, so on the 15th. And so if you want to learn more about that and all the things that we do for that, you can go ahead and see the link on the side of your screen now for that. It's going to be Monday, January 15th at 6:45 at our clinic. It's a free informational seminar. It'll be about an hour long. We'll go over, how we're helping people get to the cause of why they can't lose weight, things like candida, getting their thyroid better, getting their cravings down, getting all the junk out of their diet, having an easy to follow plan. We test your body fat, your muscle percentages, your water weight, all those things there too. So this is a free seminar coming up on the Monday, the 15th. So we got a couple seminars in January coming up that'll really be, if you want to make a massive transformation with your health this year, whether you're a current patient or not, these are 2 great events to get plugged in for that. And they're both literally free just to get an idea of what you need to do to change it. All right. I can't do the work for you, but we can show you which direction to go in and how to align your action steps that will lead to results and lead to success. So, like I said, we're shifting off carbohydrates and moving it towards fixing your fats and getting your fats, healthy fats, increased. So, first we have to get over the old myth that the more fat you eat, the fatter you get. Absolutely not true. I mean, it's been debunked like crazy. I mean, most of my patients are living, walking, testimonials of this. Fat does not make you fat. You get fat when you can't burn fat. That's simple as that. Healthy fats actually burn cleaner and over twice as efficient as things like carbohydrates and protein. So your body it will be more efficient and actually be leaner when running off fat compared to sugar or carbohydrates. Bad fats and sugar are what makes you fat. Okay, so bad fats would be man-made fats, canola oil, anything hydrogenated, partially hydrogenated, packaged foods, any natural fats that get heated too high. So you need fat. That's just the bottom line, all right? You need it to absorb certain vitamins. You need it for proper cell function. Almost every single one of your hormones have a building block for fat that's required. So fat lowers inflammation, which inflammation, causes pain, discomfort, organ damage, and the more inflammation you have too, it actually causes your body to store fat. The more inflamed you are, it's going to reduce your risk of heart disease, especially if you do omega-3s. You have to have healthy fats to detoxify. 60% of your brain is made up of fat. So at our brain seminar, the Resolve seminar there, we're going to be talking about how to avoid things like Alzheimer's and dementia. It helps with mood, stress, and memory. It's the preferred energy source for the body and inhibits cancer growth. How cool is that? I mean, all stuff that you want and all stuff that you need to be able to be healthy. And you have to be able to do that, okay? You have to be eating this stuff on a regular basis. If you are not getting fat, or if you went decades without eating fat, I'm sorry, your body's probably suffering right now, okay? Especially if you're a female and your hormones suck. One of the reasons why is you probably went decades without eating fat, all right? So if you want to improve your hormones, you start by increasing your fat. Why? Because it regulates and makes up the building blocks of all hormones. So you got to get your fats up, all right? Remember, that should make up the majority of your diet. Third, a lot of what I learned and collaborate is Rob Wolf, Mark Sisson, Jimmy Moore. Jimmy Moore's the keto guy, I think, right? I think I read his book on keto clarity, if I'm thinking about that person properly there. So good book. Okay, third one, perfect your protein. So with the protein, here, obviously, we're talking about meats, okay? Primarily here. So the big thing with meats is that if you haven't made the switch to organic and grass-fed meats yet, this would be a great thing to focus on for this year, is just to not buy or eat conventional meat anymore. Because in order to have, let's say 1 pound of grass-fed beef, okay? So think about like a cow, right? In order for a cow to make 1 pound of beef for us to eat, they need to eat 16 pounds on average of, you know, grass or grains or whatever. Okay. And obviously we don't want to be eating grains, but I'm just using, it has to be 16 pounds of that. So if it is grains, and we think about how much grains have to be sprayed with Roundup and glyphosate, okay, and all these toxic pesticides and herbicides, antibiotics, right? All of that through the law of biological concentration is going to get funneled down into what we're eating, which is going to be a lot of toxins then. So just massive hormone disruption, massive health problems. So, I mean, just a huge shift you can make is don't go organic, all right, this year. Go organic, like I'm going to go all organic. Okay, well, great. If you can do that, that's awesome. But how about you just go organic, grass-fed, non-toxic meat products, and I guarantee you your health will be better this year, big time. So you got to shift that, okay? So with this here too, speaking of organic, I'm big on following the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen list that the Environmental Working Group puts out. So they just put out a new one, and you can download this on their website, or they have an app. So you can see here on this list here, for those that are on the webinar, you can see that anything under the Choose Organic column here, this would be also known as the Dirty Dozen. These things, because of their pesticide and herbicide content, how much they are sprayed, you need to buy these organic if you buy them. So you can see number one, apples, huge, okay? With things like nectarines and peaches, you should not be eating those anyways, too much sugar. Same thing with grapes, all right? You shouldn't be eating those anyways. Strawberries, huge, okay? These things are so toxic if they're not organic. Celery, spinach, bell peppers, cucumbers, cherry tomatoes, snap peas, potatoes. Again, you shouldn't be eating those anyways, so who cares about that? Hot peppers, kale, collard greens. So if it's on this list here, you got to be eating it organic, or you are getting a massive toxic load into your body. Now you look on the conventional list, avocados, as you can see, does not have to be organic. Sweet, okay? So don't spend the extra $1 per avocado on buying organic. It's literally not worth it, okay? Other big ones, oops, sorry about that. Other big ones would be on here, like asparagus, onions, okay, things like that. They don't need to be organic, so don't spend the extra money. Sweet potatoes, same thing. Shouldn't be eating a lot of those anyways, but they don't need to be organic. Great list. That's a money saving list right there, or a toxic load saving list. So for those of you that have the green book, all right, which if you do, it will be soon be a collector's item, because this book is no longer available in print. It is being replaced with a slightly more condensed version. So I, personally don't think it's going to be better. It won't be as comprehensive. It's going to have more just basic changes in here. So if you have this book, hang on to it. Literally, there is nothing better for a healthy eating plan than what can be found in this book. Even though it's a little old at this point, it is not outdated and is not incorrect. So if you want to lose weight and transform your health, you need to be living the advanced plan, okay? The advanced plan here, you can see, is going to be mostly fat, okay? A moderate amount of protein and a very small amount of carbohydrates, okay? Compared to the core plan, which is going to be still mostly fat, still moderate protein, and then still kind of like a moderate amount of carbohydrates. That's more for maintenance, or like, if your family is healthy, you can kind of all operate off of the core plan. But the advanced plan, this is the game changer. This is where we see conditions reversed, diabetes reversed, cancer reversed, heart disease reversed, people getting off medications, blood pressure, cholesterol, all kinds of stuff like that. Comes from the advanced plan here. This thing is magic. It is gold right here. It'll save your life. From a supplementation standpoint, as we go into some basics here, all right, obviously there's thousands of different types of supplements that one could take. Here are the ones that I think are important on a daily basis. Vitamin D, especially if your levels are not in the optimal ranges here. So if you're not in this 50 to 70 range with your vitamin D, and first of all, if you don't even know what your vitamin D levels are, I would consider that a health crisis. If you do not know what every single day that you go with not knowing what your vitamin D levels are is a day that you are likely going deficient in one of the most important vitamins and hormones on the planet. Okay. Here's what I mean by this. To put this into perspective, this is a chart looking at disease levels. Hold on. Looking at disease levels and vitamin D levels. So you can see along the left-hand column, there's things like cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, colon cancer, or lymphoma, type 1 diabetes, bones breaking, multiple sclerosis, kidney cancer, endometrial cancer, right? And then on the top, you see the level of vitamin D. So just as an example here, for people that maintained and had levels of vitamin D that were in the mid-50s, all right, their chances of preventing all types of cancer. So we're talking about 500,000 people per year that die from cancer, okay? So meaning that if every single American had their levels in the mid-50s for vitamin D, okay, of serum 25-OHD, 75% less of those people would die. So what is that? What's that math? It brings it down to like what, about 125, 150,000, somewhere in there? I'm not good at math. Yeah, so literally only like 100,000 people per year would die. 125,000 would die of cancer if everybody had their levels at this level. So it's like, if you don't know what your stinking vitamin D levels are, freaking get with a program. Like, holy crap, I don't know how many times I have to say this, and it's like, still people don't get it tested. And like, don't wait for your doctor to just magically order this for you because they love you and care about you. Like, take initiative and get it done on your own. My goodness. So get your vitamin D levels tested, and then therefore you can make sure you are taking the right amount. I was over on vitamin D at one point, so I stopped taking it for a year, retested myself a couple times, and now I can take it again as a maintenance dose. All right, so know your freaking numbers. Ugh, so annoying. Drink your greens. The reality is that you're probably not eating enough vegetables throughout the day. Just be honest with yourself. So like, how can you superpower those greens in your diet? Well, cheat a little bit, kind of. Not really cheat, but it's sort of cheating. So like Max Greens here, this one has like 10 to 12 servings of organic, 100% organic vegetables and superfoods, dried, powderized, juiced, and then they dried it out and they put it in a powder form. So when you put this in like a smoothie or a glass of water, you're getting equivalent of like 10 to 12 servings of vegetables, just like that. So this is not to replace eating real vegetables, but you do this to complement and to enhance your already healthy diet. It's just kind of a no-brainer. I mean, it's just impossible to get enough nutrition. Even if you're eating vegetables all day long because of soil depletion and all that through the last 50 to 100 years, I don't care, you're not getting. It's like 1/6 the amount of nutrition, it was what they say, compared to a couple generations ago, even in organic foods. So you gotta cheat a little bit, and by cheat you're winning here. So cheaters can win. So drink your greens, big one here. So those are just two supplements that are just easy to have in. I mean, there are way more, but those are just two ones that if you're not doing either of something like that, your health will improve this year, which is awesome. So just as a reminder, you do have a seminar coming up on the 27th here, which is going to be amazing, which is going to get your mindset right for the year. And it's a free seminar, and it's going to be getting your mind right for this year. And honestly, like, the most important thing you could do, everything else that I guarantee you, if you try to change, if you don't change your mindset first, any results will be temporary. You might lose 16 pounds, but if you don't fix the problem why you gained it back in the first place, or haven't been able to lose it before, it'll be temporary. I can almost guarantee it. So you got to fix the problem between the ears here. So you can sign up for that seminar. So while we're waiting, or before I wrap up here, I want to go over some questions. So go ahead and type questions for me into the chat room on the webinar, or if you're on Facebook, you can type questions as well. Keep doing that, and you can type questions as well. So go ahead, fire away. I know that was pretty quick, but this is the basics. The book is Maximize Living Nutrition Plans. This will, if you logged on late, you will be able to go back and watch this as a link too, just so you know, for those of you that didn't got on late here. Transition me and my family to vegan. I won't talk about veganism here. That's a whole nother topic. Questions? I've heard that raw kale is not good for you in smoothies. Man, that's not true. Spinach is great too. Kale has a pretty strong flavor, so I find that it changes smoothie taste pretty dramatically to the point where I don't like it as much. So spinach I find to be very, I don't know, benign for lack of a better term, meaning it's pretty easy to mix into a smoothie, and it won't really change anything as far as what you're consuming other than the color a little bit. So what carbs do I eat? I have Granny Smith apples, berries, sweet potatoes from time to time. I mean, if I cheat, which is not that often, but if I cheat, I'm probably doing some carbs, whether it be, I do, we do some almond flour, pizza, which has a little bit of carbs in there, but it's all pretty non-inflammatory carbs. Yes, it is a blood test to find your vitamin D level. Yep. We do a blood spot test through doctor's data. $70, get it back, the results back super quick. You do it at home, so you don't have to go wait in a doctor's office and all this other dumb stuff. So then it's super accurate too. Just prick your finger a little bit, put it on, squeeze some blood on a card, and you're good to go. Yeah, I mean, we do. So the question is, what do you think about frozen fruits and veggies that you just stick in the blender? Totally do that all the time. So we get our frozen berries from Costco, way cheaper, more bang for your buck, absolutely. But they're definitely organic, all right? I don't do non-organic berries for sure. That's major toxic load, as I showed on that list there. Strawberries, all of them are super toxic and super sprayed. Other questions? Yeah, if you're getting on here late too, I would appreciate a like and a share if you don't mind. I mean, people will be able to go back and watch this, and it might just make their year healthier. So if you're watching this still right now, a like and a share. You haven't done that, I'll give you a thumbs up if you give me a thumbs up. Oh yeah, adding raw eggs to smoothies, definitely. It's a great idea for smoothie, for sure. For an alternative protein source. So you just got to make sure they're legit. So like, organic, free range, all that stuff there too, really important for all that. So yeah, but great idea. Totally an option. And in a smoothie, you're likely to not even taste it. Actually, probably make it a little bit creamier as well. I'll wait a couple more questions, or a few minutes here for questions. I know I still got some people watching here, so you're either waiting to see what other people ask, or coconut water, good ass smoothies. Yeah, it's fine. Some people, there's quite a bit of sugar in coconut water, and so it depends upon the person. I wouldn't really do it if you're trying to lose weight, for sure not. If you're trying to lose weight, I would not put it in there, because there's just enough sugar in there that could totally prevent you from losing weight. Is coconut water good for you? I mean, there's definitely a lot of good things about it, for sure. It's a good question, though. Yeah, collagen. I can show you what kind I do use here. Hold on one second. I'll just go grab it. Super good for you. For those of you on the webinar. Hold on one second. Hang in there, webinar people. I'll show it to you. Somebody asked about collagen. So this is the one that I use. I know it's probably backwards, but Dr. Axe has got a good one. There's other ones that he has too, but I get his. So this one has 5 different types of collagen, so it hits the almost the full spectrum. So good one. Very good for you. Very, very, very good for you. Very, very good for you. I will add, actually, I forgot I do add that to my smoothie now too, on top of and so just remember, I see some people signing up for the seminar. If you're watching this, make sure you get registered for that, and it's going to be phenomenal. This is my favorite stuff to talk about is mindset and success, okay? Because this is the stuff that we need to do to make generational health for us and our families. So how much collagen a day? I just do a scoop of that stuff that I just showed you. Beautiful. All right, well, I'll log off here. It's about an hour perfectly. So thanks